Klaus Kinski was a German actor who rose to fame in the 1960s and 1970s for his intense and often controversial performances in a range of films, including spaghetti westerns, horror movies, and art house classics. Kinski was known for his wild and unpredictable behavior both on and off screen, which made him a fascinating figure in the world of cinema. Kinski was born Klaus Gunther Noxinski in Zoppot, Germany, now Sopot, Poland, on October 18, 1926. His father was a German pharmacist of Polish descent, and his mother was a German nurse. Kinski grew up in poverty, and his childhood was marked by violence and abuse. He later claimed that his father was a tyrant who beat him regularly and sexually abused his sister. In 1944, at the age of 18, Kinski was drafted into the German army during World War II. He served in the Wehrmacht and was captured by British forces in 1945. After the war, Kinski returned to Germany and began working as an actor, first in stage productions and later in films. He quickly established a reputation for his intense and often explosive performances, which earned him critical acclaim and a cult following. Throughout his career, Kinski worked with some of the most celebrated filmmakers of his time, including Werner Herzog, Sergio Leone, and David Lean. He appeared in more than 130 films and was nominated for several awards, including a Golden Globe for his performance in Aguirre, The Wrath of God, 1972. Kinski's personal life was often as tumultuous as his on-screen performances. He was known for his volatile temper, his womanizing, and his drug use. He was married 5 times and had several children, including the actress Nastassja Kinski. Kinski's collaborations with the director Werner Herzog were some of the most notable and controversial of his career. The two worked together on 5 films, including Aguirre, The Wrath of God, Nosferatu the Vampire, 1979, and Fitzcarraldo, 1982. Herzog has described Kinski as a genius but also as a monster on set, with whom he had a complicated and often explosive relationship. Kinski's behavior on the set of Fitzcarraldo was particularly notorious, as he clashed with Herzog and other members of the cast and crew. Despite his often difficult personality, Kinski was admired by many of his colleagues and fans for his talent and his fearlessness on screen. He died in 1991 in Lagunitas, California, at the age of 65, from a heart attack. His legacy as one of the most intense and unforgettable actors of his generation has continued to inspire filmmakers and audiences alike. Klaus Kinski was not only an actor but also a writer, poet, and musician. He published several books of poetry, including The Unholy Bible, Jesus Christus er Loser, and Nieuwe das Nachte Leben, Only the Naked Life. He also recorded several albums of music, including Kinski spricht Vion, Kinski speaks Vion, in which he recited the poems of French poet François Villon. Kinski was known for his intense and dramatic style of acting, which often involved outbursts of emotion and physicality. He was not afraid to take on challenging and controversial roles, such as the lead in Fitzcarraldo, which required him to drag a steamship over a hill in the Amazon rainforest. Kinski's willingness to push himself to the limit on screen earned him a reputation as one of the most dedicated and fearless actors of his time. Kinski's personal life was marked by his relationships with women, many of whom he was rumored to have mistreated or abused. In his memoir, Kinski Uncut, he wrote candidly about his sexual exploits and his disdain for conventional morality. He was also known for his drug use, particularly his addiction to cocaine, which he claimed to have kicked in the 1980s. Kinski's influence on the world of cinema has continued to be felt long after his death. His intense and fearless style of acting has inspired countless actors and filmmakers, and his work has been celebrated and analyzed by scholars and critics around the world. Despite his flaws and his controversial behavior, Klaus Kinski remains one of the most fascinating and unforgettable figures in the history of cinema. In addition to his work in film, Klaus Kinski was also involved in several other artistic pursuits. He was a prolific writer, and his works included not only poetry but also several books of prose. His autobiography, All I Need Is Love, was published in 1988 and chronicled his life and career up to that point. The book was widely criticized for its graphic descriptions of Kinski's sexual encounters and its depictions of his violent behavior. Kinski was also an accomplished stage actor and performed in numerous plays throughout his career. He was particularly well known for his performances in the plays of Shakespeare, and he often played the role of Richard III. He also appeared in productions of the Threepenny Opera and Tartuffe, among others. Kinski was respected and admired by many of his colleagues in the film industry. The director David Lean, who worked with Kinski on the film Dr. Zhivago, described him as a brilliant actor and praised his dedication to his craft. The director Francis Ford Coppola, who considered casting Kinski in Apocalypse Now, has said that he was spellbound by Kinski's performances. In addition to his work in film and theater, Kinski was also a musician and recorded several albums of spoken word and music. He was known for his dramatic and intense delivery, and his recordings often featured him reciting poetry or literary works over a musical backing. Kinski was also an avid traveler and adventurer, and he often embarked on journeys to remote or exotic locations. In 1971, he traveled to Peru to film Aguirre, The Wrath of God, and in 1979 he sailed across the Atlantic Ocean in a small boat. Kinski's thirst for adventure and his willingness to take risks were reflected in his performances, which often featured him in physically demanding or dangerous roles. His legacy as an actor and artist continues to be celebrated by film lovers around the world.